Well, welcome everybody that's going to see this to the what is the
I think so.
fourth class
Hmm.
of the teachings of the East, the 12 Steps in the Red Road,
Hmm.
and I'm charmed to have my dear daughter here, uh, Ashley, helping me out with technology. She was catching me up on what's going on in her life, and I guess up there in Minnesota, they've eased up a little bit on uh, going after people that they don't like.
They eased up some, but
Yeah,
uh, I
they,
heard there's still some left.
yeah, I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
But why don't we burn a little sage? Since you came from home, you didn't have to drive all the way from the Nike.
Mm-mm.
Fantastic. But we're gonna smudge a little bit.
Okay.
The prayer to start this is, Creator, make me a hollow bone so that your teachings can flow through me.
Hmm.
Uh, that's the flute. I sold the flute today. Say the flute's the hollow bone.
Hmm.
And most birds have hollow bones.
Yeah.
So the eagle bone whistle, and they use it to Sundance. The whistles. My dad was always whistling and singing and humming, and it kind of comes in our family. I was out there in the hot tub singing this morning, and my brother's up there kind of coaching me because he crossed over on the 13th, my big brother.
Hmm.
It leaves me as the elder in the Pinson clan. And so I say, how can I help uh, the people that came before me? And my daughter called me just raging at me, and I'm afraid she's drinking because I listened to her, and then I said, and you love me. After she had dumped all her venom at me. Because I don't hear from her. I send her presents and everything else. So I kind of figure she's got dad's disease. That's alcoholism. And I know in the 12 step recovery they say resentments are the number one offender. So rescinding negative energy turns to cancer. What are you eating and what's eating you? And so taking loving care of my body, like I've had this big pain in the neck, but it feels better now because the goddess here did a little work on me. Can you hear me okay, Bob?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. I just want to make sure this speaker's working. Uh, One of the things I love about teaching drum making is that it has, you start with your personal mesa, which is when I punch that first hole, it's just a circle that I cut out. It's bigger than the hoop. And I start with the first hole is in the south direction. And the south is the summer. And the north is the winter. And the west is the spring, and then the east is no, and the west is the fall, and then the east is, so we're going from north to east. And on the cycle of life, the east is from the baby. It's fire. It's the element of fire. So we have, fire needs air in order to That's passion. That's birthing. That's when a man will never know what it's like to have a baby. But I do the best I can because I birth a lot of drums. And I got some buffalo in today, and I'm like a kid in a toy store. 'Cause I was cutting up on that buffalo. And what I'm learning is how to slow down at my age of 85. And I went to my brother's 85th birthday down in Texas at his home. And he always kept his vehicles and his airplanes. He could take an engine apart and put it back together. I'd run them until they quit running.
Time?
So I didn't take very good care of my body or my possessions. I'm learning. I say you can teach an old dog new tricks. So, because when you close your mind, they call that the wait until they have a little room to receive. That's the open hand. Then the hand. So in recovery, they say when the hand reaches out, I'm able to respond. That doesn't mean I have to respond, but I'm able. That's being willing. So recovery has the acceptance, which is the key to all of my problems. So if I'm having problems, it's something I'm pushing out rather than bringing in. So accepting is yin. That's yin is opening to receive. That's the south direction. So we're moving towards the summer solstice that comes after the east, the spring into summer, then we go back in the fall and into the darkness again. And I lost two close relatives in last year, and my dear full brother that I always was my hero, he went off to fight in Vietnam, and he ran a business, and he went bankrupt, but he paid everybody off rather than go bankrupt. He had the integrity to just pay it as he could and get himself out of debt. To me, that's a warrior. So the warrior is in the east. The warrior is the 5 steps of volition, which would be attending, attention. What are you attending to? Second is goal setting. So I said I'm going to do this today. These are my goals. The third step is initiating action. That means pray for potatoes, but grab a hoe, because the gifts you aren't entitled to them. You have to work for them. So these entitlements, say, keeping a garden, learning how to grow food, having that land out there, and having a garden that was just so prolific. And when you take care of land, land takes care of you. Nature, Mother Earth, Gaia. So at my age, I'm doing. I've got an attorney up in Washington that's working on making my land up there a non-profit, put it in a trust, And my personal will, which I don't have right now, I somehow think I'm going to live forever. But I'm doing the legal work to get the structure that I can build on. That's the support, that's the earth. Accounting for and that's an aspect of running your life, really, because who are you accountable to? Well, in that recovery, they say that man in the glass. So you look at the mirror, and that's who you got to be accountable to. So everybody else can tell you you're doing a great job, but in the final essence, you got to look at your own life. And say, did I do the best I could today, or was I lazy and distracted? I said, well, I did the best I could, but I didn't do it perfectly, which is one of the 4 addictions. Remember, the perfectionism, intensity. Those are all gifts of the East. I mean, I would say, if you want the 4 universal addictions, remember those?
The
Remember
addiction
the 4 universal
to
addictions?
intensity.
Here it is.
The addiction to what's not working.
Okay.
The addiction to the need to know. And the addiction to perfectionism.
Perfectionism.
Mm-hmm.
That means rehearsing. I used to date this beautiful woman that was a Cherokee, and I'd want to do circles improv, and she'd want to rehearse. Drove me crazy. So I said, that's like in recovery. They said there's always 3 talks you make: the one you plan, the one you make, and then the one you wish you'd made. So it's the worst judge you can have is the person in the glass. And if I'm not being perfectionistic, that means I'm cutting myself some slack. So being a water sign, coming up on the full moon, and that's when the magic happens. It's like out there at Bear Creek. You don't realize how clear you can see the sky in the city because you got all these city lights. But you get out there at Carson, wow, the sky just lights up. You can see so much. And we're from the stars. We're star people. I had a woman come in and buy some rattles today. She ended up with one of Mandy's feather rattles, shaped in a oval, the opening, the yin. So we have yang and yin. I have that symbol I'm wearing someplace. I guess it's on my other. I carry a light around my shoulder because I'm old. I can't see very well. So if I can't see, I've got a light right here. Mandy got it for me. If I'm lost, that's what Carl Jung says. We got to go down to face the demons in ourselves, the beast, because in each one of us is beauty in the beast. So which one are you feeding? Well, I did a pretty good job today. I told people I've got a class and I want to prepare for it, so you're going to have to get out of the store. And learning what how to set a boundary rather than a barrier. Barriers are like the Bonneville Dam, the Dalles Dam. They say, God damn it, that means stop the flow. So one of the beauties of Bear Creek is that the creek is not dammed. But the beavers build dams. That's a natural thing. Dams are part of nature. And the natural doesn't need managed. So some of the great oxymorons are military intelligence, wildlife management, and forest management. So they're going to manage those forests. But those forests do a damn good job of managing themselves. We just leave them alone and respect them. And the natives have always taught me, if you're taking something, if you're displacing something, you state your intention for taking it. And there's Casey and Frankie. All right. But we're moving into the East, and the gifts of the East are the gifts of the child. Just like every morning, we wake up. How come you don't wake down? So if you wake up, that's an awakening, a spiritual awakening. So if you've got yesterday's clutter and you haven't finished, so each day is a new beginning. So I really try to take care of my body, like I ate a nice salad tonight, and I ate a good breakfast, fruit and vegetables, a balance, but also eating with the seasons. Like this is the time for soups. So I've been working on chicken soup. Made some chicken soup, cooking. So learning how to cook is a beautiful teaching, and that's in the East. Hey, good looking, what you got cooking? How about cooking something up with me? So cooking is fire, tending the fire. So we got Casey that's air, and Ashley that's fire. So they're compatible. They feed each other, and they birthed this beautiful little child. He has his drum, and she sent me a video of Frankie drumming that drum. And how beautiful it is to give a child a drum, because they're natural drummers. The children are. I sent my daughter to Montessori school, and I went to class with her. I wasn't raised that way, and I wanted to see how they taught. So it was a beautiful way for me, as an elder, or somebody that's old. There's old people, and then there's elders. So they have elderberries. We have a elderberry tree in our west door. And those elderberries mature, and the hazelnuts. And when I bought that land, I didn't know. I brought some Roundup out there because I was going to kill them weeds. So I didn't know anything about plants, because I was so disconnected from nature, being a city boy, raised in the city. So I learned over time, as you get cold unless you have a fire. So I bought an old wood cook stove, and get me some kindling and learn how to fire tend. That's the East too. The element is fire. It's will. It's the green man. So I'm wearing green because the green man is Father Nature. And there's Sky Woman, which is Mother Sky. So in the yin is the yang, and in the yang is the yin. So that's the circle. As we go around, the south and the west are more yin, and the air and the fire are more yang. So, rather than this either or, either you're a man or you're a woman, I'm both and. So that's, they have you fill out these forms. It says sex. I said, yeah. Yes. So that didn't fit in the slot. So everybody wants to put you in a box. That's one of the 5 sacred symbols. 5 sacred symbols. What are they, Bob?
5 sacred symbols: square, rectangle, uh, circle, trapezoid, and what am I missing?
Well, the square and the rectangle are the same thing. So you got that's the
Oh, I was cheating.
cross,
The cross, yeah.
the triangle,
We got the triangle,
the square,
square.
the spiral,
That's it.
and the little circle, triangle, square, cross, and spiral. Those are the 5 sacred symbols. And how you rank those, there's a whole thing I do in my classes that's say, and you'll find that these things, these positions, which one do you prefer the most and which one is the least? So rank them from 1 to 5. And that'll change as you do this, as your values change and your attention. But we have to move around that wheel. Like that drum, I can't just start it. I have to persevere, go from the north, and then I punch that second hole in the north. First one's towards me. It's my personal. North is spirit, air. Well, it's from the earth to the air. So every night we fall asleep. That's the air. So the cycle of life is my brother just went back to spirit. We come from spirit, and to spirit we return. So my brother was a staunch Christian. He was a Methodist. And I went to his 85th birthday in Texas and stayed in his motorhome because he had hundreds of people coming to his 85th birthday down there. It was a beautiful. His path was not my path, but I respected him and he respected me. And that's one of the lessons of the pipe is respect. So the other lessons of the pipe, and the pipe is the symbol of the yin, which is woman, which is the bowl, and the stem, which is man, which is yang. But when you join those two together, whatever you pray for will be given. But be very careful what you pray for. So, in recovery they say you pray only for Spirit's will for you and the power to carry that out. That's the 11th step prayer. So, you do a confession, restitution, and service. That's the life of the healthy, balanced, not either or, but both and. That's the name of my book, Shifting from into a Real and Authentic World. From either or to both and. So using this side, like if we played ping pong or pong ping, and competition ruins play. So there's a great book called Homo Ludens, and it's about play, the origins of play, and it's the thing that cuts around plants, animals, and people, humans. Play is called no agenda. So my mother used to say, you boys get out of this house and go play. So we'd go climb a tree. We didn't know what we were going to do. We just invented it in the moment. So play is having balance means you don't just work. You got to have time to play. Whether you're playing music or whatever play is to you. Play is defined as having no agenda. So if you've got an agenda, that's called competition. I'm going to beat somebody. But in our play, Mandy's a great player because we play ping pong and we hit it to each other and see if we can present it right in front of them as a gift on each shot. We make up our own rules. And first you got to make a conscious contact, which is the 11th step of the conscious contact. Contact means with touch. So if you can watch that ball all the way till it touches your racket. You don't watch it to here and then look at where you're going to hit it. And then you miss hit it and say, I need to get a new racket. So can you watch all the way to, touch. We're out of touch. If you don't touch babies, they die. How important touch is. So tending the fire in the sweat lodge is, you bring those those stone children. Many stories about the ceremonies they do to purify. Up there where Bob is, they do saunas, the Swedish saunas, and then they put those saunas out by the lake, and then they jump in them lakes. They're freezing. So first they get hot, and then they get cold, and that's part of their ceremony. So I've got a hot tub I get into every morning, but I don't have a cold tub that I get into. But I remember when I take a shower, is to run both and. So sometimes you have to face the snow queen, and we're in that season now, coming up on March, and the full moon, it's waxing, and it's an exciting time to be alive. And my brother's up there guiding me in my dreams. That's the north. That's the dream time. I had an Aboriginal man come in today. I told him I got a good friend over there in Palm Beach. He's an Aboriginal man, and he came here. He's a storyteller, and he walked the song lines. And over there, anyway, this man wanted to buy a drum, and I says, "You got the toughest import laws on the planet. They won't let you import a drum from another country because it might infest their, start some sort of virus over there." After we trashed Australia by introducing all these invasive species, but Australia has original people, as all cultures do. Native Americans, the Native Africans. So that's also part of walking around the wheel. Is my sister here is Tibetan Buddhism, and she went over there and into Tibet, and that's the father energy. That's the bells, the gongs. They're all the higher vibrations. The church bells with its church bell ringing. In Philadelphia, they have the Liberty Bell. So it's clear as a bell. So a bell is a higher vibration. But the drum is low, and the didgeridoo in Australia. So the didgeridoo comes right into the second chakra. That's orange. That's Scorpio energy, water. That's my dark side is I don't get mad, I get even. So that's like stinging myself. That's don't poison yourself with your dark side. Build an altar to it. So the west is that's my dark bundles. And the east is my light bundles. So the green man, I'm wearing green. We're coming up on Shamrock, March. The hare, the March hare. And the Christian holidays are built around the pagan holiday. Well, the Christians have Easter. And what are you going to give up for Lent? What's the giveaway? So in order to, like if you want to approach an elder or Native American, you bring them a gift, an offering. And if they pick that offering up, they'll help you. But if they don't pick it up, that means they're not going to help you. So you don't assume, make no assumptions. That's the other four. The four agreements. Make no assumptions. What other people think of you is none of your business. So if you're a people pleaser, that's really hard. But if you're doing the best you can, then you learn how to say no. Because your yes means nothing until your no is believable. So that's not a barrier, that's a boundary. A boundary is no to you and yes to me. A barrier is no to you and no to me. So in order for things to flow, there has to be water. Water has many teachings. You can't grasp it. It's like air. It's there. You can, the wind, the four winds. See, the Four Winds Society. That's the winds of the north. That's the winter. That's the Snow Queen in Narnia. So it's not the fire. I mean, the fire is. You see, that sacred tree that we study is a book. We also read the prayer on March and see what it is.
It's not March yet.
We're going to have Ashley read a prayer. So we're coming up on March. So.
It's compassionate service.
Compassionate service.
Recall the face. Recall the face of the poorest and the weakest man whom you may have seen, and ask yourself if the step you contemplate is going to be of any use to him. Will it restore him to a control over his own life and destiny? Will it lead to self-rule for the hungry and spiritually starving millions? Then you will find your doubts and yourself melt away. Mohandas Gandhi.
Yes. That's a beautiful prayer.
It is.
So living in gratitude is, you know, I'm grateful I'm sober. 51 years in January. And I'm grateful that Mandy did a hand fasting with me again. We renewed our vows in February on Valentine's Day.
Mhm.
And now we're moving into the green man. That's the one who plants the seeds. So if you're wanting a baby, you have to plant the seeds.
Working on it.
And so that's the sexual energy. That's the urge to merge that happens all across nature. The birds, you can watch the birds and the bees, all things. Matter of fact, there's a great book called The Secret Life of Bees. So that's the perfect social order is a bee colony. They all take care of the queen. And they make that honey. That's bears love honey, especially Pooh Bear. When I was over in England, they took me to the 100-Acre Wood, where that book was written about, the 100-Acre Wood. Eeyore and Piglet and Owl and all the characters in Pooh Bear. Simplicity. Life can be simple. And no matter what you're doing, there's always people who say, it's not going to work. It won't work. It won't work. That's Eeyore. So, one of my great teachers was a native named Rising Sun. And he said, my medicine is don't doubt. And he'd stomp his foot 2 times with his right foot and said, don't doubt. You are a spiritual being. You could make the wind blow. You have all these powers in you. So if we actualize our potential, which means manifest essence, which is the East, what are you birthing? In the male, it's who are you and where are you going? And this is who I am and where I'm going. So I'd say, Mandy, would you like to go to Bear Creek? Rather than saying it that way, I'd say, I'm going to Bear Creek, Mandy, would you like to join me? So a man has to know where he's going. That's his, give me a vision. I'm going to make some buffalo drums tomorrow. That's my plan. I got to set the goal. And then I have to prepare. And in ceremony, preparation is 90%. So if you prepare yourself. So if you're going to make a drum, that means it has a start down there in the south, and then we go up to the north, and then we come back and we go to the east, which is male, think, air, logic. The east is is Frankie's spontaneity, wonder, a love that does not know itself. Let me read some of these gifts of the east direction. Man, that's awful. You can put them up on that screen. That'd be best, since I got the best tech here. An amazing woman that helping me out. Casey and Ashley. Okay, the gifts of the east. But there it is. we can get them big. Okay. It's when we go on the hill to pray for a vision before the Sacred Tree book was published. You see that sacred tree's branches reach up to the Father. They stretch out and they actualize their potential. But their roots go down to the lower world to rescue. So the tree is a channel where Persephone went down, tried to bring back the lost souls. We're still in the lower world. And so those ceremonies that we do is praying for those that just crossed over, like my brother. I say, well, he didn't die, he just changed forms. Now he doesn't have a body, so he doesn't have the pain anymore, he's free. So in Ireland they celebrate life, they don't mourn death. So my brother crossed over. He's having a funeral. I'm not going to it. I told his wife, I said, I didn't get the vaccines and I don't want to fly on an airplane. But I'm doing my own thing about my brother. And my brothers, like that came in today, they helped me out. They lend a hand. So in the red road, carrying a pipe means connecting both sides of you. This is how I feel about it. That's the West. That's also the mirror. So we have to look at ourselves. That's the inward journey. This is the outward. This is yang. The yin is the reflection, like of a lake. So if you go down to Crater Lake, that's a sacred place. It's a caldera, but it's a volcano. There's lava underneath us. So we honor the mother and we touch, Ashley just went from one employer to the next. I'm sure she's smart as hell, so she's going to learn something. But I says, don't get a job, become a consultant. It's like I was a fundraising consultant and they want to hire me and I say I'm not for hire, but I will work with you and I'll be just as committed as you are to your goals. What's your goal? So I can do that to everybody but myself, but I'm having to do it now because those attorneys ask you all kinds of questions. It's called a will. I said, do y'all do won'ts? What won't you do? Moses brought back a bunch of tablets that says thou shalt nots. What about thou shalls? Thou shalls. No, this is what I'm not going to do. So that's Not God. There was an AA book called Not God. And my sponsor says, tell me about your God. I told him about this punishing God. And the Southern Baptist version of God, heaven, and hell. And he said, hell, nobody can stay sober with a God like that. Says, I'll tell you what God is. It's love. It's loving. It's caring, tending, taking care of your own inventory and quit taking everybody else's. So one of the things I was going to talk about tonight was, let's keep on the east here. So we got light, which means morning, beginnings, morning, babies, children, becoming childlike. So all these gifts of the east are the child and the adolescent moving towards the adult. And then we go back into the elders. That's a cycle of a day. Like this time of day, I want to go, I'm not active, I'm passive. I'm more going down, lying down. That's bedding down. That's what the animals do every night. They bed down. So who are you lying with? Who's in your bed? Who's sleeping? So there's 4 meditations in another book that Angela Sarian wrote. There's the lying meditation, which is in the south. There's a sitting meditation, which is the Buddha. The Buddha. There's a standing meditation. There's a walking meditation. Those are the 4 types to meditate. Also play. So hitting that ping pong ball to Ashley rather than away from her. Feeding her with the ball. Loving her. Tending to her and making conscious contact with her. So contact is that touch. How are we touching? And learning to be respectful, like not getting any closer than she feels safe. And you can always tell because their breath. They'll start holding their breath if you're in their space. So there's sometimes I don't want to be touched. I have to learn to say no. No, thank you. If you're not saying no, then it comes out skewed, like, no, get the hell out of here. That comes out in a harsh way rather than just a simple way. Learning to say no, no thank you. They call me and say, do you want more business? I said no. They're not used to hearing no. More is better. That's another spells that we... Those 4 spells were what?
I don't know that one.
Or the 3 spells. Bob knows those. Lynn Twist wrote the 3 spells. First spell is, there's not enough. If I only had more, I'd do this. There's not enough. I don't have enough. It's the first spell. Second spell is, more is better. If I just made more drums today, I'd feel a lot better about myself. The third spell is the hardest one to break. That's just the way it is. Well, there's that it word. That's just the way it is. There's a great book called The Book of the It. Rather than saying that's the way I am, we say it, because it depersonalizes it. So taking 100% responsibility for the man in the glass first. And don't talk about, but speak from. That's a hollow bone. It's like, I've been in the men's group since 2002. Same guys, we meet on every other Monday night. And we've been through deaths, all sorts of things, divorces. We've been through thick and thin, and we've stayed together. And I love those guys. And they're all dealing with the things I've already dealt with, like my death of my mother, death of my father, death of my... I have a wife that died. It's lessons of things that end. That's the endings. How do you end the meeting, say? In my group, they say, Patrick, do an ending prayer. So, I'm not like my brother. He'd get up there and and he was a beautiful man, but his prayer was different than me, because he came to my circles up here. I had the men's drum circles, and he'd try to convert everybody to Jesus Christ, and that was his God. So I say, however, like you go into the temple to worship your God, but the yellow, the black, the red, and the white, those are the four colors of the races. The sky, which is blue, the earth, which is green, and you are the seventh direction. So I do 4 sevens, I do 28 classes a year. That's the number of stones I bring in the sweat lodge, plus 1 for the spirits. So there's 29. That's my lodge. So I take care of my lodge, but they say you dust off before. That's any ceremony you do, whether it's going into church, going to confession, whatever you're doing. It's a lot of the principles in the AA were taken from the Catholic Church. It's that idea of I got to go to confession. But if you do your own inventory and quit taking everybody else's, that's walking around the wheel. If you're fire, you also need water, you need earth, and you need air. So in each one of those directions is 4 directions. And that's the matrix. It's like, that's the reason I love drum making is because there's a beginning and an ending. And the ending is the beginning. So I like to feel productive. It gives me esteem. Like they lock people in nursing homes and they start to atrophy. So if we don't use it, we lose it. So I play the baritone ukulele, and I got up and sang some songs this morning. It's like the birds. Who tells the birds to get up and sing? But the birds is my name, and I have a hummingbird that greets me every morning. And I say, Mike, is that you? Because our name was Pinson. It means little bird in French, little bird. So we all have our spirit guides. Mine was an eagle. And we all have our power animals. And the power animal is an animal that gets you through a particular place. It's not your spirit guide, but it always directs you, you know which way, because you're calling on the ancestors. It's what I want and what spirit wants for me. So, a lot of the natives, I was adopted into a lot of these western tribes. I'm Mingo Seneca from West Virginia. I was adopted into the White Clay people up in Fort Belknap, Montana, by Joe Iron Man. And he adopted me. And they have 2 pipes. They have a flat pipe and a feathered pipe. And they have deities. They have 7 prayers and 7 levels of spirit. Like the church has, there's the angels, there's the archangels, and then it's like there's chakras. There's your B is your crown chakra. That's where you dream. That's spirit comes through the color is purple. The color purple. That's Leo. Purple. My fraternity was, the colors were purple and gold. And the fraternity song was, Hail to the purple and hail to the gold. That's Minerva is the lion. And the mother. And Gaia. I got a photo from a buddy of mine over in England. He took a picture of this church with the vagina wide open. because those were the symbols that they did to the pagans. That's Birth Mother, that's Gaia that gives life to this world, and she feeds the world. She's the guardian of the earth. So when you garden and don't go to the grocery store, grocery stores are fine, but if you think your source of food is Fred Meyer's, the source of your food is our Mother Earth. We had gardens up there at Bear Creek, and I have a vision for that place. It's a place for mind, body, spirit, and soul. And so once you have a vision, it takes preparation, and it takes what it took for me was I made 660 prayer ties. Like on a piece of red string, I made a prayer tie, and I prayed for one of these gifts. And I'd walk on the east direction, and I'd offer my pipe. I'd say, Creator, help me to be innocent, to let go of yesterday. But before I went up there, I took care of business. So you don't want to go on the hill with a bunch of bills to pay. So they say you take care of make sure your own house is in order before you go up there and pray. The garbage in and garbage out. So if you get a vision, that's what Martin Highbear says. Wait, Moses went on the hill and brought down the tablet. We all go on the hill. There's 4 places to pray. One's in the deep forest. You go down in the redwoods in California. That's a temple. That's a church. So the coast, the ocean, Mother Earth ocean. Because up there at Bear Creek, that creek runs into Panther Creek. So I have my panther on my, that's a panther, which is the jaguar. So in Celtic shamanism, the jaguar is a descent. Before we go up, we have to go down. So in the east direction is waking up in the morning, and your first hour that you spend, like in Tai Chi, they say your chi leaves you every night. You have to reconnect with chi every morning. They call it hook up. Otherwise, you're in self-will. So when I pray that I can be a hollow bone, that means let spirit work through me like a flute and play my songs, not anybody else's songs. But when you're learning, you have to have teachers. And you never know who your teachers are going to be. In recovery, they say, you don't have to take a drink, somebody else will take it for you, and you just watch what happens. Nothing good comes when you introduce alcohol. A lot of the teacher plants are medicine. That's true medicine. It's not in our government's vaccines, shots, booster shots. So they get you. So there's a positive and negative in everything, and do not judge. Like, who knows? I don't know, as they say, the first path of enlightenment is empty your cup. If you don't know where you're going, don't fake it. But I did, after my sponsor asked me about my higher power, and he says I couldn't stay sober on that. He says, well, do you know anybody that you think spiritual? Well, I thought about that, and I said, oh, a couple of people. Well, act like them. Call it fake it till you make it. That's what children do. They pretend. So they act as if. Let's play like we're doctors. Let's play a game of, let's climb that tree. So play is defined as having no agenda. So becoming childlike means having a plan but not planning the results. So I've gone on for quite a while. I wanted to get some feedback. I want to make a drum with Ashley. That'd be a great way to I used to have an African drummer in my class. Let's look at the rest of these. Innocence, renewal, that's like the morning time. It's becoming childlike, waking up with new eyes every day. That means don't leave any clutter. So always do your best, because there's nowhere to get to. There's this beautiful song called Pachamama, because although the Himalayas have the father energy, the bells, the gongs, the Andes have the mother energy. That's Pachamama. That's Mama. So we go down there, and their medicine is ayahuasca, peyote, San Pedro, ibogo, the frog medicine. Those are medicines that are used in traditional cultures. And drug companies, all drugs come from plants. So, the plant people. So, if you're taking care of your body, which means I fixed a salad tonight. Got myself some tea. But I wanted to have a chance to take a drink and let Bob and Ashley give their Ashley's been around here. Is that Casey?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Bob,
Yeah.
what the hell you got to say about this situation?
Well, I got a lot to say about this situation and that situation. Right now, I'm thinking, which situation do I want to talk about? And I guess what I want to just sort of celebrate all the good work that my fellow Minnesotans did in standing up to ICE. That it was below zero most of the time they were out there, and I've talked to a few that were involved in it, and they said, yeah, it was cold, but they said when we were crowded together, it was a little more bearable. But I just can't imagine doing that. But they kept with it. They kept coming back. It's ICE was trying to incite. They'd like nothing better than there to be a small riot, violent riot. And it was just wonderful to see that energy. And I just have such an appreciation for what they did. Because I was active in working against the Vietnam War. But that energy that was there was an angry energy, because it was, I did call it as anti-war, whereas I can call what was going on here was pro-peace, pro-nonviolence. And it's just, when you see the effort that went into that, it was just totally amazed me. I thought, wow. And so I'm just celebrating that I've really got a connection with a lot of people that were involved in it. Not a strong connection, but just at my coffee shop, there's 5 or 6 people that, you know, and they're the owners of it and all of that. And so that it strengthened my community. And so I just like to celebrate what they did
Yeah.
and tip my hat. Aho.
Uh-huh.
Well, Miss Ashley is on the second go round. She started last year in the east,
I started doing this class north to east.
northeast.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a completion. That's learning. Jobs are going away. Uh, that's like my friend Glenn Hauser that makes obsidian knives, and I sell them in my store. And he comes and helps me out. Calls me and say, "Are you okay?" And to have friends that care for you. That's the lessons of that pipe are right there. Good health, happiness, helping out people, lending a hand when they need it. Respect. That respect starts with self-respect. Because you can't respect anybody more than you respect yourself. Well, it's not tooting your horn, that's esteem. That's how am I esteeming myself. But staying right size, not getting too big for my britches. So if you got friends, they'll tell you maybe what you don't want to hear. Those are sometimes the best teachers. Like they say, the one you resent the most, pray for him. So I embrace my Donald Trumpness. That's because we're spiritual beings, and some of us are wounded. And this is a pretty, if you detach, because they say all attachment creates suffering. But Ashley is teaching a class. I'd like to know more about that, how it's going. Anything you'd like to share about that?
You mean the women's circle?
Yeah. What are you learning?
Well, in the introduction, Jamie Sams talks about how men don't have suffering built into their lives, and that's why they need to go on vision quests. But women, because we have things like our cycle and childbirth, we already have our suffering in our life, so the vision's already within us. And so the things that she's teaching in this book is how to uncover those gifts, that to rediscover your creative fire and your potential and your own spark of life, so that you can tend to it in the female way, and which is different than the male way. And she gives tools to do that. So one of the ways that she says to she held healing retreats for herself for 16 years in a row, where she went to the woods for the first 3 days of her cycle every month and dedicated that time to self-expression. And she would stay up all night tending a fire that represented her own creative fire, drinking from a spring water, staying up all night, and sleeping all day. So she says for women that we should either connect with our cycle for the first 3 days, or the first 3 days of a new moon or a full moon if you have stopped bleeding.
Yeah.
So these last few months, these last few cycles, I've tried to do some sort of creative work on when my cycle starts. And it's been, yeah, it's been a really cool investigation and inward time.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's kind of just a path that's like tools to go inward, what she's given. And so this next month, this March moon that's coming up is accepts the truth.
Respect or
Accepts the truth.
Well, that's beautiful. So,
I really appreciate you sharing that, because that's just that's just another way to be looking at life and being looking at human beings of all kinds. Uh, just to explore. It's kind of, I'm looking forward to it.
yeah.
You know, it'll be something that I have to create for myself, but I like that. So thank you.
One of the things that I really am grateful for is that I moved 2,000 miles away from my father. I got drunk at him. That's why. And so I had a feeling that one of my siblings is into the drinking sickness, and usually you have plenty of resentments that are festering inside. So rather than saying I'm happy, I'm miserable. And so being around people like out there on my kitchen wall, I have Ernest Hemingway's "A Movable Feast," the quote that he says. It says, if there's anything that ruined the day, it's an appointment. And if you didn't have any appointments, you could create anything you wanted. And you don't, but appointments and being around people, you have to learn. Some people are as fresh as spring itself. I like to hang out with those people. It's like negative people can draw you down. That's why I used to drink in bars. I wouldn't go to AA meetings. Those were healthy people. I like to hang around people I thought was a little bit better than. So, alcoholics tend to drink down. That they got to go down and hit bottom. And so the Al-Anon women who've been living with alcoholics have taught me just as much as the men. And Alice, one of my sponsors that I got when I got sober back in the mid-70s, I'd play bridge with them every week, the game of bridge. And she says, step 6 in AA is we do an inventory of ourselves first, rather than projecting our dark side on everybody else. So when you do that soul searching, that inward journey, the hero's journey, that's the West. That's the inward searching. This is the outward. This is yang. The yin is, how do I feel about what I did tonight, what I said tonight? So the feelings of water, that's a soul. That's things that endure. So we all come from the mother. So if you were birthed, we go into the lodge to rebirth, or like the Moon Lodge. And I went to a gathering over at Brighton Bush, and with this man that came up from Peru to teach the women about the moon time. These women were saying, what the hell is he teaching us about the moon time? He says, well, the grandmothers asked me to come. So it's a very special time to go into the moon lodges and be with other women. And when that blood time, that time of cleansing, I let go of the old and I call in the new. That's one day. That's the East. That's taking care of myself. So the women would gather together. But there's also men's circles, and they gather together. That's the brotherhood, the sisterhood. When you're initiating a young girl into the first blood ceremonies, that's a big time. That's one thing I appreciated about Lynn Andrews, that she had these first blood ceremonies, so where you're initiating a young girl into the becoming a girl, into the maiden from into the mother. It's like the oven, the yin. How do I feel about it, and what do I manifesting essence? So metaphorically, when I'm in balance, I love my brother, I love my sisters. Say loving, I'm tending to them, caring. In grad school, they had us write our own, they had us work with hospice, with dying people. We'd have to go in and say, what do you need to do before you cross over? How can I help you? Because nobody's asking the dying what do they need. They're trying to take care of the living. So a lot of times we get attached, and preparing for the detachment is letting go absolutely in recovery. But this woman I played bridge with, she was in Al-Anon, which is the wives of alcoholics, and she said, we don't get rid of those defects of character, they call them in AA. We put them out to pasture. That was a brilliant statement for me, because I say, so in recovery they say, I ain't the man I want to be, but thank God I'm not the man I used to be. So I'm a work in progress. I'm not finished. I'm still breathing here. When I'm finished, I won't wake up anymore. I'll be like my brother. He's up there in the spirit world. He went home. And his God was a little different than my God, because I got the goddess too. It's like the feeling balance in both hands. Our birds, many drums. That has a beginning, but it takes perseverance. You know, it's a singleness of focus, attention. First step, goal setting. I just found out I got a shipment in yesterday, and there's 5 buffalo in that shipment. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. Oh, I got the raw materials. Now I get to take the base and refine it into gold. So that's like alchemy. We take the raw and make it into beauty. It's like that old gospel song, he took 100 pounds of clay and made man. It comes from the earth, the humus. So how are you creating with your hands, these hands? Lend a hand. That's the lesson of that pipe. Help. Respect. Compassion. That's Mr. Bob Hall. He says, see with your heart's eye, knowing that people struggle. I struggle, but because I'm still alive, and it's like you. Sometimes those days become turbulent. But in the AA, they say there's one slogan you keep saying: "This too will pass. This too will pass. This too will pass." So in alchemy, we're changing, or we're attached to something. So just realize that just doing the best you can today, because tomorrow doesn't exist. That's a dream or a vision. Yesterday's a dream. But if you got a lot of stuff in your past that you haven't brought forth, it's going to keep you from being fully present. So that's why we pray. And we let go of the things, attachments, freedom from love. Remember in the North, one of the gifts of the North is freedom from love, freedom from hate, and freedom from knowledge. So, or as Rumi says, out beyond right and wrong is a place, I'll meet you there. So it's not about who's right or who's winning or who's losing, black and white thinking, all or nothing. It's about both and. It's just, I love women and I love men. And I love my artistry. But in grad school, we had to write our own how long we were going to live. And what's our eulogy? What do you want on your tombstone? How do you want to be known? So Isis is the air. That's one of the air signs. 3 air signs, 3 water signs, 3 fire signs, 3 earth signs. Well, each one of those gifts of those directions. The east is the green man. That's why I'm wearing green tonight. Say Father Nature. So I get too much city in me, and I want to go out there and be by that creek. Just be by the creek and listen to the sounds of silence, which is a gift of the West. Silence. It's like so each one of these paradigms, like the Fool is the West. So we have the Fool leaps. That's the coyote. So you fall in love, and hopefully then you rise in love. Say, love lifts you. It doesn't hurt. So, my woman left me and my dog ran off. I'm going to go down to the tavern. So that's pour me a drink. So the self-pity and resentment, that's the 2 offenders that keeps you from ease and grace, from manifesting your own destiny, being the best you can be. But one of the questions in hospice, they say there's 5 things you need to do before you die. And those please forgive me for all the ways that I've missed the mark and done stupid things. Please forgive me. I forgive you. Second step, thank you. And I love you. Goodbye. So I go back to the spirit world. And then every morning, if I'm lucky, it's not, and March is the charm, the lucky charms. So the clover, the green man. So it's compassionate service. Like, how am I serving the community, and what's my legacy? How do I? They say Isis asks, "Have you sinned? Have you coveted? Have you been lazy? Have you been an adulterer?" For each one of those questions Isis asks you, she puts a stone on the scale. Keeps going down and down. But there's one last question that brings the scale up. And that last question is anyone glad you lived? And if you could answer that question, that tips the scales and brings you back into balance. That's balance. That's sanity. They say the second step of AA is we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So sane is balanced and happy and alive. The last two lessons of the laws of the pipe are quietness, after compassion, quietness, and generations, which honoring all the four ridges of life, the unborn and the newborn. The unborn, Mike's up there in the spirit world. He might come back as a bird. Who knows? But we go back to, the Christians call it heaven. And my brother bought me a book called Left Behind. That means that God's going to take the good up and the bad are going to have to be rescued. So whatever your power is that's greater than you. So the second step is, my sponsor says there's only real two things you need to know about God. Number one, there is one. There is a power greater than you. And you're not that power. So you have to hook up every morning. Because chi goes away every night. So that first hour of this morning, I went out in the hot tub. I didn't want to get out of the water. I was singing songs. I always notice I relax on warm water. That's my element. And then take a shower and put that hot and cold and start my day clean. Mandy's just the opposite. She likes to shower in the evening and wash the day off. I like the morning showers. And my morning, one of my spirit names was has to do with morning. Winter Sun Fire. That was the name that they gave me, the women that I stayed with. Winter Sun Fire. So I have a vision of a community with balance, with sanity, and it's a place where you come not just the mind, body, spirit, which is the Trinity, the three, the pyramid, but it's the cross. It's the way of Jesus on the cross. The good day to die, and forgive the Trump and a bunch of the people. They don't know what they're doing. Pray for them. Embrace your beast, or at least don't embrace it, but build an altar to it. They call that your dark bundles. That comes in the West. But this is the spring, so what's your light bundle? What brings you joy? What would you be doing if you didn't have to have more money? are you doing it? And what gives you joy? That's what goes in the light bundle. So we're working on our light bundles. When we're in the West, we're working with bear. When we're in the East, we're working with condor and depends on in Andean cosmology. The East is the condor, the buzzards, the things that eat, the dying and decaying, that feast. So you are both predator and prey. We have to kill in order to eat. If we cut food, we're killing it. But medicine people put their hand over those plants and they know which ones to harvest. They don't cut the whole thing. Like up there where I'm living, they believe in clear cutting. It used to be you harvest the timber. Well, I like to get back to that. That's to build a place where some of the medicine plants can be taught: drum making, rattle making, flute making, the talking stick making, dream catchers, all those symbols of drums, rattles, flutes, and medicine. That's Cedar Mountain drums. Keep it simple. My store has a lot more in it than what's on my website. So, keep it simple is one of the slogans in AA. Easy does it. Nike's just do it. But go easy. Don't try to get there all at once. That's slowing down. Somebody's horn's going off. Must be time to stop. Mm-hmm. It is. Saved by the horn.
Bicycle.
Before we go, I'd like to make a closing prayer. Say, Grandfather, I pray that all who see this take a little bit. Don't. It's like the state of the Union. It was an hour and 45 minutes. Take little bites of it. Don't try to eat the whole thing. So, the bites, the megabytes. But I pray that you keep us all safe. You help us remember that we are spiritual beings, and to get aligned with your will for us. Help us to hook up, give us good health, happiness, compassion, give us joy. Help us remember who we are, spiritual beings, and keep us all safe until we gather again in circle. Aho.
Oh,
Bicycle. We'll stop the recording.